Hello, I am in Two Bridges. It's a part of Brooklyn that's called Two Bridges because there's one bridge, I pointed the wrong way, one bridge and one bridge, two bridges right behind me. Now, the problem here is that bridge over there, well, that one's got a subway that runs across it approximately every minute. So I have to talk really quick, otherwise it's gonna kill my audio. So anyway, I'm gonna walk and talk. Now, today we are gonna talk about hiring people and managing people. Essentially followership. What's followership? Well, it's the opposite of leadership. It's the people you hire who work for you. We're gonna talk about how to manage and how to actually hire them so everything works out. Now I want to start off saying backtrack here. I want to make it clear. I'm going to talk about getting the best economy out of the people you hire. Yo, check out this view. Check this out. Check this out. Oh my God, this place is awesome. Yo, the best economy out of the people you hire. But at the same time, I'm not talking about paying people below market values. Why? Because if you pay people peanuts, you're going to be hiring monkeys. You don't want that. You want people to be happy with the funds that they're getting, to be satisfied. Always, okay? In fact, when I hire people, I always ask them, how much money do you need for this role in order to be happy coming to work every day? Okay, don't tell me how much you dream about, because if you go too high, I won't hire you. Don't tell me too low, so you're miserable coming to work. I want you to be happy coming every day. All right, that's how I hire people. That's how I get their salaries. I'd say, give me the least amount of money that you need to come to work every day and be happy. By the way, this place is just gorgeous. Look at this joint. So that's my tactic. And if people are honest, and they usually are, but not always, unfortunately, there are times they're not honest and they're afraid of losing the job and they underquote. But usually they give you the minimum number that they're ready to work and be happy every day. And that's the best value, okay? I don't want people working for less than they're ready to work for. I don't want monkeys working for me because I'm paying them peanuts, okay? You don't want to do that. However, there are plenty of tactics. There goes the subway. I don't know if you can hear that up there. There are plenty of tactics to get the most out of your employees and make sure that you're getting good followership, okay? People who look after your leadership. Man, these are big steps. Holy cow. Oh, cool. That's the carousel. I had to go inside the carousel, warm up a little bit. It is freaking cold here in New York City, man. It's about 40 Fahrenheit, which is like 3 Celsius. It's cold. All right. So now, why do we want people to be happy in their job? I mean, it sounds obvious, but it's not always to everybody. Okay. Number one reason is you want them to put in the best effort. Oh my God, the sun is killing my shot. You want them to put in their best efforts. You don't want people putting in a half an effort. Now, what does that mean? Let's say you give somebody a task. They got to call up 100 clients for you in the course of a day. Well, if they really could care less about the job and they're doing it just for the paycheck, they are not interested in doing a good job at all, what are they going to do? They're going to call enough clients that they can get away with it, and then they're going to mark in the book that they called other clients that they never actually even called, and that's lost opportunity for you. Now, what makes that worse? How do you even fix that once you catch it? Now you have to sit there and figure out who did they really call versus who did they not call. And when you call the client up to fix the thing later, some of them, they would have said, yeah, you guys called me last week. And other ones are going to go, I never heard of you. And now you got a real mess. It's actually worse. It's worse than if they never worked for you at all. You get that. You get bad employees poisoning your company. Followership's important. Got to get people who are good followers to be loyal to your company. Now, when you have people who are just completely disloyal, all sorts of things can happen besides just lost productivity and paying them salaries that you don't get your ROI from, the return on investment. Okay, lots of bad things can happen. I know somebody who built a company based on the knowledge that they learned at a different company. Now, normally that's actually perfectly okay, except in his case, and obviously I'm not going to give any references at all who it is, But in his case, he had an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. He had non-compete, not an NDA, and non-compete. He literally left the company and like a day later started the competing company. Okay, he had to wait. He was supposed to officially wait like a year or two before doing that. He got away with it because he grew so big so fast that it didn't matter. He had enough money to protect it legally at that point. But man, you don't want someone doing that, taking your whole business idea and then just running with it, you know? You want loyal employees, followers, followership, man. Just be aware of that. No employee will rise above low expectations. If you think they're only good up to this point, they ain't gonna be no better than that. That's it. They ain't gonna be no better than what you think of them. So you gotta set the expectations of what you want from your employees very clearly. Okay, if you expect them to do X amount of work every day, they better know that. They shouldn't have to guess that. That's important. Now, the other side of the equation is you don't want people working outside of their specialty. When people say that I'm good at X, Y, Z and I'm terrible at ABC, don't give them ABC. In fact, ask yourself, would you want to do this work? Why? Because then you can determine, is this something that's high desire work or low desire work? Because the person who has the needs that are stronger have more power, have less power. The person, in other words, if you have a really crappy labor task that needs to get done, you don't have much leverage going on, as opposed to if you have a very high desirable job. For instance, anyone who has experience in the television production sector, everybody wants to be a TV producer. Okay, that job has such a high desirability, the people who do the hiring for that role can take their pick. The employees have zero power. Vice versa for something like computer programming. There's such high demand for programmers that the person doing the hiring has to have quite an incentive package. Okay, the person who holds the most power is the one who has the least desire to get the role fulfilled, basically. All right, to get the connection made. The person who's not afraid to walk away, they have the most power. Therefore, you have to be aware of what you got on the table you're offering and what your expectations are. So would you want to do the task that you're hiring for? Is that something that no one's going to want? Or is that something that everybody's going to want, which it's really easy to hire? Yo, the sun is whack. It's so bright. And then there's these huge shadows. Like, check this out. Hold up. I'm about to enter a shadow. Woo! It's crazy. All right. How do you know that your employee is going to do a good job? If you give them tasks they have zero experience doing, and they're outright telling you, I don't know how to do this, you ain't gonna get good results. I'll give you a random example. I hired a janitor who straight up told me, it was a contract, it was short term, straight up told me he don't do windows. Like, what the heck, who doesn't do windows? But whatever. And I said, come on, man, he was paid by the hour. So I said, you know what? Why don't you do windows? It's just, I'm not good at it. I'm like, how are you not good at it? I said, try it. And I said, we had big glass walls in that facility. So it was a lot of windows. And I was thinking in my head, oh my God, now I got to hire somebody else to do the windows? Give me a break. So I said, try it. And he wasn't like someone who was afraid to try it. He's just like, I'm not good at it. So I let him try it. That was a mistake. Why? It took him forever. He sat there going like this in slow motion. Spray, slow motion. Meantime, you get someone who's actually like knowing what they're doing, and it's like chick chock, done, all done. So the idea is if they tell you straight up they can't do it, believe them. Don't hire people outside of their specialty. What does that mean? I had a guy working for me, and I asked him to plaster up a wall. They had a hole in the wall when we moved into a facility. And the guy's like, I've never done this before. Oh boy. And I made the mistake of saying, try it, give it a shot. That was my mistake, my management mistake to encourage that. And the guy was awesome, as a person, but he was just awful at sheetrock and plastering. He made such a mess of the wall. He layered it on so thick that when he was done, it fell off the wall from the weight before it managed to dry. Like, that was all completely lost effort. Meantime, what did I do at that point, once it's kind of, damage done? I went and I got a guy who sheetrocks for a living, does drywall for a living. He did it in maybe half an hour, the whole thing A to Z, and then came back to repaint, and it was like literally like 1/4 the time the other guy did it, and the results were better. Why? Because that's a specialty. That's what he does. Give people the jobs that they're confident doing. Don't put people in roles they don't want to do, or they're not capable of doing, or they're not skilled in doing, or if they aren't skilled and they're ready to do it, then be ready to pay to train them. But chances are you're better off just getting someone who knows how to do it already. There are instances when you're going to have your employees do something that they really don't want to do. Okay, this is going to come up, and sometimes you got to kind of tell them this is a requirement of the role. And there's a very diplomatic way to do this, and it's a little bit manipulative, but in a wholesome way. It's not manipulative in a bad way. Very simply, instead of saying, can you do this task? Let's make up a task. Build a Brooklyn Bridge. Can you build the Brooklyn Bridge? And the person's like, I don't really want to do that. Or, I want you to be in charge of a new project we're doing. We're going to build a Brooklyn Bridge, and you're going to be in charge of that. Now, if you think at the employer's perspective, well, all of a sudden he's in charge. It's royalty. It's honor. It's a position of power. I'm saying the exact same thing. The guy's still going to build the Brooklyn Bridge. I mean, you know, you could buy the Brooklyn Bridge too. You don't got to build it these days. And if you don't know what that's about, you know, that's an old New York expression. So if you're going to tell someone to build a Brooklyn Bridge versus tell them they're in charge of the project to build the Brooklyn Bridge, it just frames it differently. And it's all it sometimes takes. Sometimes all it is about management leadership is framing things. It's incredible that way how that works. Human beings are emotional, not logical. Okay, make people feel like they want to be felt, like they want to feel, meaning what the emotions they're seeking out, that human beings feel important and feel needed and feel wanted and feel like their work is worth something, and they do better work. It's as simple as that. You don't got to pay them more. You got to make them feel like they're providing value to your company. It's your company, man. You want them to feel like they're providing value to your company. Yo, there's Lady Liberty right over there across the bay. Unfortunately, this camera does not zoom, so you probably don't see it. It's a tiny little dot in your lens, but man, there she is, Lady Liberty. She is beautiful. All right, let's talk about now when you actually go through the motions of hiring and negotiating salaries and pay rates. First thing, let's talk about red flags. When someone doesn't expect you not to know what market rates are, straight up red flag. Okay, I had someone pitch to me contractors in Pakistan at a rate, this computer programming, okay, at a rate of, get this, $50 an hour for a contractor in Pakistan. Dude, that person thought I just knew nothing. It's unbelievable. He bumped his head and said, this guy's dumb. He don't know anything. How could you think that that's the going rate in Pakistan? It's so not, by the way. That's about 10x what it should have been in Pakistan. All right, maybe not 10x, but whatever. Okay, they don't get paid much in that country. $50 an hour, you can get people in New York City to work for you, okay, as programmers. It's a little low in New York City, but you probably could get it fairly easily even. All right, now, another red flag. Complicated pay rates. I hate that when people do that. That's just maybe that's a pet peeve of mine, but more than a red flag, because they can be negotiated, but usually I can't find one angle with the sun not ruining the shot, but whatever. Usually complicated pay rates are repairable, but not always. I had a guy pitch to me all sorts of equations, too many options, man. I said, what's your pay rate? He goes, well, it was a contractor role for a limited amount of time. He's like, well, if you're going to hire me for 20 hours a week, it's $65 an hour. If it's 40 hours a week, it's $48.95 an hour. And all these complicated things. I'm like, oh my God, man, you making me crazy. Just what is your hourly rate? Now, I understand the incentives he's trying to build, which is to get more work. I get that. But that's not the way to do it. Because me, as the person hiring, I'm trying to figure out, can I budget this guy? And all I'm thinking in my head is, this guy's trying to milk it as much as he can. Nickel and dime, every possibility. And those kind of people make terrible workers, honestly. Usually, it's like the littlest thing you ask them to do extra. That's not in my contract, I'm sorry. And, for that, it's $1 million more. I don't like working with people like that. And I don't take advantage of people either. I'm not implying getting people to, you know, work for free, essentially expand the scope of work without increasing their pay. I'm not suggesting that. But man, don't make it hard for your employer to actually pay you. Now, don't make it hard for your employer to pay you. Because one thing you got to keep in mind is your effort does not equate to value. That's a misconception. Oh, I'm working so hard, I'm working so hard. There's a thing in Hebrew that says, Imoach lo bekoach, with your brain, not with your muscle, okay? You got to work smarter, not harder. It's the exact same thing in English, it's just worded a little differently, okay? Important you work smart. You don't work hard, and don't assume that just because you're putting in this enormous amount of effort that somehow the company is seeing the ROI, the return on investment of paying you by the hour. Okay, your effort may not be warranted. That dot in the distance there, that's a heliport. And it's making me crazy because helicopters keep flying over my head and ruining my shot. I gotta keep stopping all the recording. And the sun ain't helping neither, but whatever. It's a gorgeous day here in Brooklyn, southwest Brooklyn, I guess this would be. Anyway, western edge of Brooklyn on the waterfront. And anyway, okay, you got to think about how much effort a person is putting in versus how much results. There's a key difference. Many people believe their effort is going to somehow equate to value to the company. Look how hard I work. Oh my God, poor me, I work so hard. Meantime, it's not about how hard you work, but what the results you get. Give you a really easy example. You got 2 employees, okay? One of them stays overtime every single day and gets to work super early, and they're working really, really hard every day. The other one got the coat on. The minute the clock strikes the time to leave, their coat's already on. They're out the door. They don't work a minute overtime. They both put out, okay, they both achieve the goals that were set forth for them. Which one's the better employee? It's actually the one who don't stay overtime. Why? Because they're able to complete their work on time. They don't need the extra time to get the same productivity, because that's the whole key, that they both get the same productivity when it's done. Only one of them is putting this heroic effort in. The other one's actually just using skills and brain to get it done correctly the first time without having to redo the work 400 times or whatever other reason that the other one needs to put in this heroic effort, staying overtime every day. When you are hiring contractors as opposed to full-time employees, you should have a good awareness of how you're going to pay them, the pay structure and the methods of payment. Number one, is your payment method reversible? And I'll get to why it is important in a second with contractors. And number two, how much of his money is the contractor getting before they complete the work? Now, why? And I'm going to discuss what it means to complete the work in a second. But first, let's talk about why this matters. I hired someone to do labor, and I'm going to make up fictitious numbers. These aren't the real pay rates. But the person was supposed to do, let's say, an 8-day job and get paid $800. It's not the real rate. I'm just using that because that makes the math easier, those numbers. Okay? $800 for 8 days of work. He's like, I want all the money up front. I'm like, say, what? No. And I ended up negotiating $100 a day at the end of each of the 8 days. Now, why is that really, really, really important? Because he never finished the job. In fact, come day 6, not even making it to 8, I said, this ain't even close to done. How are you going to finish this? Yeah, I'm going to finish. Anyway, long story short, he walked off the job. Seriously, he got fed up with his own inability to complete the job. I didn't throw him off. He got fed up with it. And that's it. Now, had I paid him the whole amount up front, I would have lost the money. Now, I technically was getting to the point of ready to fire him because he wasn't keeping up with his proposed pace. Okay? And I had lost, what is that, 3/4 of the rate of what I paid him, but he'd done maybe 50% of the work, so it wasn't too bad. But the whole point was, you give someone an upfront amount, technically they could quit on the first day. Walk away with your money. Go fight them to go get it back. Okay? Be aware of that. You want to put as little up front as possible. Don't give more money than necessary. Okay? Some roles, such as like an attorney or whatever, they want these heavy-duty big retainers. They want so much money up front. Okay? That's always something you try to avoid. You can't always avoid it, but you try. Okay? Now, is the money reversible? Meaning that, let's say I gave the guy $800 and he walked off on day 1. what would you do? How would you get that money back? Is it a reversible payment method? Is there some clause that says if he doesn't do this, he's got to pay you back? Or, you know, it's his word and your word, and then you're on your own. So see what kind of payment you get. Okay, the more money you defer to the later in the project, the better. Now, what did I mean before about when the project is completed? What does it mean to complete the project? That is probably one of the bigger areas of contention I've experienced. I don't know how it's going to be walking past this. It's a little unnerving. I hope I don't get hit by a ball here. Oh, they're wiffle balls. Never mind. It don't matter. Okay. All right. Now, what's it mean to complete a project? When is the project considered complete? Now, if you are building an object, is it when the object is built, or is it when it's inspected and as a completed project? Let's say we're building the bridge. Where is the bridge? The bridge went that way. You're building the bridge, okay? Is it mean when the when the contractor says the bridge is complete, or is it when the first car drives over it? Who says it's complete? Who says that it passes inspection and doesn't need more repair? What constitutes complete? You need to have a contract set in place that clearly states what it means to be complete. Very big area of contention. I've seen so many people have contracts where the client says, I'm done, goodbye. But the work ain't done. I mean, they ain't really done. They think they're done. Or someone thinks they're done. Maybe one person thinks they're done, one person doesn't. Either way, though, okay, they want to get paid, and they ain't finished the work. Okay, so you got to be aware of what does it mean to complete a project. Should always be clearly defined. That's called the scope of work, if you want project management terminology. The clear scope of work and how to determine quality of work, meaning is that you may have built that bridge, but it's going to fall down when the cars drive over it. You know what I'm saying? You got to have quality of work, ways to determine whether it was built correctly. Okay, I'm using a bridge term because it's something universal. This could be anything: building software, selling a product. When's the sale complete? When the guy pays for it, or when his payment clears the bank? Think about that. What if the guy pays for it and returns the object? Do you still give him the commission? That's how you determine whether a project is complete. All those things need to be spelled out in your contracts whenever you hire somebody. Sometimes you get employees, they got something they're supposed to do every single day on the job as part of their job requirements, and they simply don't do it. Want to catch them red-handed? I've done this trick. It's a good one. All right? You simply cut off access to it. I'm serious about that. So let's say they're supposed to sign into a system that lets you know what they've done that day and monitor them. You just change the password in the system and see how long it takes for them to notice. When someone shows you who they truly are, believe them. You don't need to give multiple chances to people who straight up aren't going to be honorable and are going to betray you. You can assume if they do it once, they will do it again. Your staff is not your buddies. Now, there are plenty of supervisors that I've seen that go out drinking with their buddies and from work, you know, like this. Supervisors and subordinates all together. They go out drinking, partying, whatever. Some people are okay with that. I don't believe that. I believe that it's important to maintain boundaries between work and life. Okay, my personal friends don't work for me, and my work associates don't party with me. Okay, that's just my view. I believe that's important to have the autonomy to be free in your social life without thinking that it's going to impact the relationship you have in your professional life. And by doing that mixing of the two, you kind of blur those lines. And sometimes it's important to really have boundaries with people who work for you. And particularly, sometimes they ask you personal questions that if you give them those answers, you feel like that is imposing on you. It's so important that you realize that just because someone asks something doesn't mean you have to answer it. It's so important. Most people feel obligated to give an answer just because somebody asked, when it's none of their dang business, okay? Now, keep that in mind, okay? If they ask you something as you're not completely comfortable answering, especially if they work for you, don't answer it. Just simply straight up, I'm busy, I'm not going to answer that, don't worry about it. That's what I like to say, but that's a New York thing, don't worry about it. Oh, you know, what's that XYZ situation with so-and-so? Nah, don't worry about it. That's it, just squash it, you know? You don't have to be that blunt like I do, but you gotta not answer what you're not comfortable answering. Maintaining personal boundaries between you as the manager or leader or whatever your role is there, supervisor, and your staff is very important to me personally. However, there are cultural norms here, okay? I'm in North America. I've been in Japan. It's totally different there. They all, the bosses and the salarymen, as they call them, all go partying together. They all get plastered and drunk together after work, and that's normal in that culture. So I realize that my normal isn't necessarily everybody else's normal, and not everyone does that. And I've been in tech companies straight up in New York City, okay, where the CEO and the CTO go get plastered with the programmers and the developers and the junior programmers and the associates and the secretaries, okay? So just because I think that's the way it is, well, I'm just straight up saying that it's not everyone's universal opinion, but I do think that is important, and I think that it maintains a certain level of control in your role, because once you are seen in a different light where it's casual, sometimes you get people who really take advantage of that. Oh, he's just a buddy, it's okay, I don't have to do my work, he's not going to fire me, I'm not afraid anymore of losing my job, I'm not afraid that if I don't meet the requirements of the role that something's going to happen, because now I'm buddy, he wouldn't do that to me. So you want to kind of keep that level, kind of like an air. I don't want to say it that way, it's pretentious sounding, but the truth is that's what it is. You want to keep an air of level of gap between you and the people who work for you, so they have a little bit of fear. They should feel like they're going to lose their job if they don't perform, unless they're just people who are self-motivated, which those are great employees if you got those, but many aren't. One more very, very critical piece of the puzzle when you hire someone and have to determine how much value that person's going to bring to your company, okay, is how much effort will it take on you to have this person in your company? Meaning, what do you have to do in order to have this person work for you? Do you just hire them and you never hear about it again? Or do they ask you a question every 6 seconds of the day? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do that? What should I do in this situation? Oh, I'm not sure about how to handle this. If they do that to you, that is something that you have to account for. You have to account for the pain in the neck factor. Now, I realize it is absolutely necessary that you, as the employer, okay, answer questions of employees. And there's always going to be a ramp-up period for everybody. Now, in bigger companies, typically the ramp-up is done by their individual supervisors. In smaller companies, it could be you. Okay, if you're going to answer questions every 5 minutes from this person, does that person's work really help you? Same thing. I've had low-quality work received from people that I have to sit there and redo the work. So what's the point of that? Okay, ask someone to write up some legal documents, and his mistakes every 5 seconds throughout every 5 words throughout the document that I've got to redo it. Who needed them? Don't need that. I've experienced that. I'm telling you firsthand what I've experienced. Be aware of the pain in the neck factor. Is part of your determination how much to pay someone. Maybe it's worth paying a little more for someone who's got experience in the exact specialty that you're trying to get achieved. Okay, because then it's done without hand-holding. You get a guy, you want someone to file your taxes, all right? You get a guy who files taxes for thousands of people. You don't get the person who's never done it before straight out of college. Even if that person's cheaper, you're going to be like paying more taxes and asking you a million questions. Okay, that's an example that I think most North American people can relate to. I don't know if taxes are such a pain in the neck in the rest of the world, but sure as heck are in the United States. But either way, okay, determine how much hand-holding the person will need who you're hiring in order to get them to achieve their roles successfully and do the role. And again, it's understandable that there are roles that people will need to ask you questions for. And they're going to be that pain in the neck role. That's okay, but just make that part of the equation. Sometimes it's better to pay more to have less headache. I gotta say, Brooklyn Bridge Park, holy cow, it's absolutely awesome here, but don't shoot a video because you got helicopters from the heliport. You got amazing wind because the water is right over there. And then on top of it, you got the subway going over the Manhattan Bridge over there. You could hear that too. Very, very noisy. Don't try to shoot a video here, but come on out here to have fun. This is a great place. Alright, in the time of this video, I walked from 2 bridges to Brooklyn Bridge Park in Brooklyn Heights, where you got a beach. Seriously, there's a beach in the middle of like Brooklyn. Mind you, that water is royally polluted, so if you go in there, you're nuts, or you don't care. But either way, there is a beach. It's not a big beach, and it's not a pretty beach, but there's a beach. Alright, anyway, that's it for today. I hope I got through to you in how to hire so you don't get burned. Okay, because I have been burned. I'm trying to teach with my lessons learned so it doesn't happen to other people. You know, hiring is not easy. There's so many aspects to it, and there's rules to it, and legalities, and human elements, and emotions, and all this stuff. So, alright, hire smarter, not harder. Use your brain, not your muscle, even if you got a lot of muscle, alright? Alright, signing off from Brooklyn, New York! Please, like, share, subscribe, share this with everybody you know. If you think I don't know what I'm talking about, share it anyway, because someone else might like it. Alright, thank you all. See you all in the next video!
Yeah!